we're looking at the global updates and taking a look at what's happening. More than 2 million cases recorded worldwide and thousands of people have died. Let's go to DW, our partners DW in Germany, from where Thomas Sparrow, political correspondent, joins us with the details. We do know, Thomas, it's good to have you. We do know the last time we spoke to you that the EU was planning, was trying to put together a sort of response, a unionized response. We know that they've reached some sort of agreements. Give us an update on that.
That is true, Gifty. They did reach an agreement a few days ago. It was a very difficult agreement because there were different views depending on the countries that you spoke to. Some preferred an idea of sort of mutualized debt. Others thought that that would not be the case, that other methods should be put in practice to try and help countries. In the end, they did come to an agreement, the different EU finance ministers, to put a package that will help countries that are particularly affected by the coronavirus crisis, and this will go hand in hand with some of the measures that have been put in place by the countries themselves at a national or a local level. So as we also spoke on this program a few weeks ago, Germany, for example, has put its own rescue package, a very big package indeed, to try and help businesses that are particularly affected by the coronavirus, not only very big conglomerates, but also smaller businesses as well, or even independent business people. So you can clearly see that there are different levels in which there is help coming for people who are particularly affected on the national level, on the local level, and also finally at a European level as well. But again, that European level discussion, it was something that was very difficult, very tense. There were discussions that lasted for many hours, and that in the end, well, they did manage to come to an important agreement, because what officials had said time and time again is that it's particularly in time of crisis when the European Union has to show that it can work together to deal with the issues that affect its citizens the most. And it does seem that, at least from a start, from that perspective, this agreement does respond to that interest to try and have a shared approach to the coronavirus, at least when it comes to the European perspective.
Oh, you say that there has been some sort of agreement among the EU states. We do know that not all of the EU states are as affected by like the other. So if you take, for instance, Italy has a harder hit. Germany, of course, also comes a bit after Italy, and Spain, for example. So how was this arrangement done so that it actually tackles those who have the biggest of problems? Is that information that's available to us?
Gifty, and that is precisely the issue that is here at stake, because on the one hand you have countries in Europe that are affected differently. You have countries like Spain or like Italy that have health systems that are tested to their limits. You have a larger death rate there, for example, than in Germany. You have other countries that are obviously affected, but not as affected as, for example, Spain or France or Italy or Germany. Even Germany comes number 5 in the world with the most number of cases. But again, and we've discussed it here as well, Germany has a very different death rate compared to the other countries. So this was the big challenge here, how to make sure that you have very different situations in different countries, but that you can still have a package put in place that could then be in a way distributed to the countries that are mostly affected, and specifically also to the areas where those countries need. And by the way, that is something that also comes hand in hand with what we're discussing here in Germany and in Europe now, and that has to do with how to ease restrictions. And it's the same situation time and time again, because you have countries in a very different situation when it comes to the number of infected people that are taking measures that are different to the ones that have been taken by other countries. So for example, schools have restarted in Denmark. Schools will only restart in Germany step by step at the beginning of May. Austria has already announced some measures. Czech Republic has announced some measures, and what's coming from the EU is that countries should, at least also in this particular case, try and come together and find solutions. It's not only about each country on its own deciding how to move forward. It's now also a moment to try and find common approaches, not only when it comes to this rescue package, but also when it comes to how to ease some of those restrictions when the time comes.
And you indicated also earlier that they're looking to, in fact, I'm just reading something that you sent us that says that the Interior Minister had indicated that they're looking to ease these restrictions and allow religious meetings, for example, to happen. Give us a wrap on that, because right behind you, I still see people moving, and you've explained that already before. But certainly talk to us about the Interior Minister's announcement.
That's correct. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel on Wednesday met with the regional leaders here in the country to discuss how to move forward, and what they decided were first very cautious steps to ease restrictions here in Germany. So for example, as of next week, some shops, in particular small and medium-sized shops that are under 800 square meters, will be allowed to open. Then at the beginning of May, from the 4th of May, schools will be able to reopen also step by step, although restaurants, clubs, bars, museums and so on are still banned. Public gatherings, very big, massive gatherings are banned until the end of August, and religious gatherings as well are still not allowed. And in this particular case, the German Interior Ministry has been meeting with different religious groups to try and see exactly how they could reopen those gatherings, what kind of measures have to be taken, hygiene measures, social distancing measures, because there is an understanding that in particular when it comes to these very difficult times, religious gatherings play a very important role in trying to help people. So that's why there was this meeting. There is still not a concrete date when religious gatherings will be allowed here in Germany, but there is at least this understanding that they have to reopen gradually, and that they have to reopen gradually once the hygiene measures and the social distancing measures have been found. So Germany is moving step by step, very cautiously, because the government has indeed said that the social distancing measures have been working, but that is a fragile and partial success. And that's why German authorities, but also Germans in general, still have to keep those social distancing measures in place. They will continue at least until the 3rd of May.
Certainly, we'll be here to see how that goes, but we'll also be coming to you next week, Thomas, for more updates from there. Thank you very much. Thomas Sparrow joins us from home, where he's broadcasting and bringing us updates on what's happening in Germany. Speaking of easing the restrictions and about social distancing that's so difficult to practice, we here in Ghana have our own story to tell when it comes to social distancing. It's been very difficult. I was going to give you the update on the global update